Have you ever heard a story so strange, so baffling, that it sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie? Well, today we re-diving into one of American history's oldest and most chilling unsolved mysteries, the lost colony of Roanoke. This isn't just a ghost story whispered around a campfire. It's a real-life historical event that has puzzled experts for over 400 years. What happened to more than 100 men, women and children who seemingly vanished into thin air? Let us travel back in time to the late 16th century and uncover the secrets of this phantom colony. Our story begins in 1587. England, under Queen Elizabeth I, was eager to establish a foothold in the New World to challenge Spain's growing dominance. Sir Walter Raleigh, a dashing courtier and explorer, sponsored an ambitious expedition to establish the first permanent English settlement in North America. After a previous failed attempt, a new group of 115 colonists, led by Governor John White, set sail for the Chesapeake Bay. This group was different. It included families, women and children, signaling a true intention to build a lasting community. Among them was Governor White's own pregnant daughter, Eleanor Dare. Due to a series of disputes and possibly some navigational errors, they didn't land at their intended destination. Instead, they ended up back at Roanoke Island, off the coast of modern-day North Carolina, the site of the earlier failed military outpost. It wasn't an ideal start, but they were determined to make it work. They repaired the abandoned structures and tried to establish relations with the local Native American tribes. Things were tough, but there was a glimmer of hope. Just a few weeks after their arrival, Eleanor Dare gave birth to a daughter, Virginia Dare, the very first English child born in the Americas. This birth was a powerful symbol of a new beginning, a future for the English in this new land. But their supplies were dwindling fast. The colonists realized they didn't have enough provisions to survive the coming winter. They persuaded Governor John White to return to England to gather more supplies and reinforcements. It was a difficult decision. He had to leave his daughter, his newborn granddaughter, and the entire community behind. He promised he would return as quickly as possible, within a few months. With a heavy heart, he set sail in late 1587, completely unaware that he would never see any of them again. What should have been a short trip turned into a 3-year nightmare. When White arrived back in England, he found his country on the brink of war with Spain. The mighty Spanish Armada was preparing to attack, and Queen Elizabeth I commanded that every available ship be used for the defense of the realm. No ships could be spared for a resupply mission to a distant colony. White was trapped, desperately trying to find a way back to his family while his nation fought for its very survival. Finally, in 1593, long years after he had left, John White managed to secure passage on a privateering expedition and made his way back to Roanoke. As they approached the settlement, an eerie silence greeted them. There was no smoke from chimneys, no sounds of children playing, no signs of life at all. The entire village was gone. The settlement had been carefully dismantled. The houses were taken down, not burned or destroyed, suggesting the colonists had left intentionally and in an orderly fashion. There were no signs of a struggle, no bodies, no graves. It was as if 115 people had simply packed up and vanished. The only clue they found was a single word carved into a wooden post of the fort's palisade: Croatoan. White also found the letters Crow carved into a nearby tree. Now this wasn't just a random, cryptic message. Before he left, White had instructed the colonists that if they had to leave Roanoke, they should carve their destination into a tree or post. He also told them that if they were in distress or forced to leave, they should carve a Maltese cross above the name. There was no cross. This suggested that they had left willingly and moved to a place called Croatoan. So what was Croatoan? It was the name of a nearby island, now known as Hatteras Island, and also the name of the friendly Native American tribe that inhabited it, led by their chief, Manteo. Manteo had previously traveled to England and was a trusted ally of the English. So the clue seemed clear. The colonists had moved to Croatoan Island to live with Manteo's people. This should have been the end of the mystery, right? John White just needed to sail about 50 miles south to find them. But fate, once again, had other plans. As White and his crew prepared to sail to Croatoan, a massive storm, a hurricane, rolled in. The fierce winds and rough seas damaged their ships and made any attempt to sail south impossible. With his supplies low and his crew near mutiny, a heartbroken John White was forced to abandon the search and return to England. He would never get another chance to look for his family and the lost colonists. He died years later, never knowing what became of them. And so, the mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke was born. For centuries, the story ended there. The colonists vanished, leaving only that one tantalizing clue. But what really happened to them? This is where the theories begin, and they range from the plausible to the outright fantastical. Let's start with the most widely accepted theory, the one pointed to by the Croatoan carving itself. Assimilation. This theory suggests the colonists, facing starvation and the delayed resupply, decided to seek help from their native allies. They likely split into smaller groups and gradually integrated with the Croatoan tribe, and possibly other local tribes. Over time, they would have intermarried, adopted native customs, and their English identity would have faded over generations. There's some compelling evidence to support this. Later explorers and settlers in the 17th and 18th centuries reported encounters with Native Americans who had gray eyes and lighter-colored hair, physical traits uncommon among native populations, but common among Europeans. Some even claimed to have met natives who spoke a form of English, and knew stories of ancestors who came from ships. In the late 1800s, a group of people on the North Carolina coast claimed to be descendants of the Roanoke colonists and the Croatoan tribe. Genetic testing in recent years has been inconclusive, but hasn't ruled out the possibility of European ancestry. It's a romantic notion that the colony didn't vanish but simply blended into the fabric of the New World. But what if the Croatoan carving was a misdirection? Another popular theory is that the colonists were attacked and wiped out. Relations with all the local tribes weren't friendly. The previous English expedition had acted violently, and some tribes like the Secatan were hostile. Perhaps, weakened by hunger and disease, the colonists were easy targets for a raid. This would explain their disappearance, but it doesn't quite fit the evidence found at the site. Why would attackers take the time to carefully dismantle the houses? And why would the colonists carve their destination if they were under attack, without adding the distress signal of a cross? A variation of this theory involves the Spanish. The Spanish saw the English colony as a threat to their claims in the New World and a base for English pirates. It's possible a Spanish force from their Florida territory marched north and destroyed the settlement. The Spanish had brutally wiped out a French colony in a similar fashion years earlier. However, there are no Spanish records of such an attack on Roanoke, and they were usually meticulous record keepers, especially when it came to military victories. Then we enter the realm of more dramatic, though less likely, theories. One idea is that the colonists attempted to sail back to England on their own. They had a small ship, a pinnace, left with them. Maybe, in their desperation, they decided to risk the treacherous Atlantic crossing. If so, they would have almost certainly been lost at sea in a storm, leaving no trace. It's a tragic thought, but it would explain the complete lack of physical evidence. And of course, no great mystery is complete without some supernatural or fringe theories. Some have suggested disease wiped them out so quickly that it left no one to bury the dead, with their bodies scavenged by animals. Others point to bizarre legends of cannibalism, or even alien abduction. The truth is likely far more grounded, yet just as elusive. So why did the story just stop? Why did Roanoke vanish from the records for a time? After John White's failed search, England's focus shifted. Sir Walter Raleigh fell out of favor with the new king, James I. The next successful English colony, Jamestown, was established in 1607 in a different location, the Chesapeake Bay. The early Jamestown settlers actually heard rumors from local tribes, like the Powhatan, about people who looked like them living nearby. Captain John Smith even made maps noting the locations of these rumored survivors. But the Jamestown colony was fighting for its own survival, and was in no position to launch a full-scale search party for a colony that had been lost for 2 decades. The story of Roanoke became a cautionary tale, a ghost story of the New World. As time went on, the trail went cold, and the lost colony faded from active investigation into the realm of legend. In recent years, archaeology has reignited the search. Modern techniques have allowed researchers to find new clues. Archaeologists have discovered 16th century English pottery fragments, a sword hilt, and other artifacts at sites on Hatteras Island and further inland, suggesting some colonists may have lived there. These finds support the assimilation theory, indicating that at least some of the Roanoke settlers might have survived and lived among the Native Americans. But these small discoveries are just pieces of a much larger puzzle. They don't give us a definitive answer or account for the entire population. The fate of the Roanoke colony remains one of history's most compelling open cases. Were they absorbed into a new culture, finding a different kind of life in the new world? Were they victims of conflict or disease? Or did they meet their end on the unforgiving waves of the Atlantic? Each piece of evidence only seems to deepen the intrigue. It's a powerful reminder that history is not just a collection of known facts, but also a landscape of profound and enduring mysteries. The story of those 115 souls, symbolized by that single, lonely word, Croatoan, continues to haunt the American imagination, a silent testament to a chapter of history that was never finished. What do you think happened to the lost colony? Let me know your favorite theory in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed diving into historical mysteries like this one, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. See you next time.